Have you ever felt like she was still beside you, but something inside her was already gone? No arguments, no distance, just that quiet shift, where she stops trying to fix the relationship and starts preparing to leave it. Today, you're going to understand the first real sign that the relationship ended in her mind, before it ended in yours. Most men think the ending begins with conflict, a fight, an ultimatum, a visible crisis that gives you time to react. But the real ending is colder. It begins with silence, because as long as there is hope, there is effort. And when the effort disappears, it's because the future disappeared first. Healthy relationships have friction. Friction is emotional investment. When someone still believes in the relationship, they argue, negotiate, try to improve. But when the mind decides to leave, the behavior changes. She stops trying to repair the connection and starts managing stability until the exit. In psychology, this is called attachment deactivation. The brain shifts from seeking closeness to seeking safe emotional distance. This is where most men get fooled. They think, finally, everything feels stable. But it's not stability, it's emotional disengagement. She's not fighting anymore because there's nothing left to save. She has already accepted the ending internally. You just haven't caught up to it yet. Imagine a man sitting at dinner with his partner. The atmosphere feels calm. No tension, no complaints, no deep conversations about the future. He believes the worst is behind them. But in her mind, the relationship already shifted. She has separated emotionally. She has reorganized her priorities. She has already started living without him internally. By the time the breakup arrives, he calls it sudden. But the ending started the moment she stopped trying to fix it. When she stops trying to repair the relationship, she may already be preparing to leave it. So the real question isn't, why is she quiet? The real question is, what made her stop fighting for this? In the next chapter, we'll step inside her psychological process and show exactly how repair turns into exit planning. The breakup doesn't start when she says it. It starts when she stops needing you. Every relationship survives on one invisible force, the belief that it can still be repaired. As long as that belief exists, people argue, complain, try again. But once the mind reaches a quiet conclusion, this will not get better. Something fundamental shuts down. Not love, effort. And when effort dies, the exit begins. Men assume, if she's not complaining, things must be improving. But psychologically, it's the opposite. When she still cared, she protested. She wanted change. She wanted closeness. Now she's just neutral. That neutrality is the emotional disengagement phase. Not because she feels safe, but because she has already started separating internally. There's a term for this in attachment theory: deactivation. When someone decides that emotional closeness is no longer worth the risk, their brain stops seeking it. She becomes calmer, less reactive, less demanding. Not because she feels better, but because she feels finished. You'll notice subtle shifts. She stops asking for reassurance. She stops trying to fix problems. She becomes more independent emotionally. The warmth fades, but the logistics stay. It feels like maturity, but it's actually preparation. She's stabilizing the environment so she can exit without chaos. When emotional repair stops, strategic distance has already begun. So, if repair is gone and conflict has turned into silence, the real question becomes, what happens next? In the next chapter, we'll uncover how calm detachment quietly transforms into a full psychological exit strategy. The absence of tension doesn't mean you're safe. Sometimes it just means she's already gone. When the emotional noise disappears, most men feel relief. No more pressure, no more complaints, no more late-night conversations. It feels like stability has returned. But what you're actually experiencing is not peace. It's detachment. The relationship feels lighter because she is no longer carrying emotional weight inside it. People don't fight when they don't care. They fight when they still believe something can be saved. The anger, the frustration, the emotional tension, all of that is proof that the connection still matters. Once she stops expressing dissatisfaction, it's not that the problems disappeared, it's that the need to solve them disappeared. That's the real shift. In attachment psychology, this is the point where the brain moves from "let's repair the bond" to "let's reduce emotional risk." She stops seeking closeness. She starts seeking emotional safety. That looks like calmness, neutrality distance, emotional independence. But underneath that composure, the mind is already transitioning out. You might still share the same space. You might still talk every day. But the emotional reality has shifted. She's no longer in the relationship as a partner. She's in it as someone who is managing the ending. The body stays, the attachment leaves. And when that happens, the breakup is no longer a possibility. It's a timeline. Calmness without warmth is not peace, it's preparation. So, if the emotional investment is gone and the relationship has become quiet and logistical, the next stage isn't chaos, it's organization. In the next chapter, we're going to examine how love slowly turns into logistics, and why that shift is one of the clearest signs that the exit is already in motion. The absence of tension doesn't mean you're safe. Sometimes it just means she's already gone. It doesn't happen dramatically. It happens quietly. She stops talking about feelings, the relationship, the future of us, and starts talking about schedules, plans, responsibilities, practical decisions. The emotional bond fades, and what remains is just the structure. Once repair is gone, the next step isn't leaving. It's stabilizing the environment, so leaving becomes easier. This is where the relationship turns into coexistence, not connection. She's no longer relating to you as a partner. She's relating to you as a logistical presence in her life. That's the pivot point. You might notice she becomes more organized, more neutral, less emotional, more focused on planning her own life, less interested in discussing anything relational. The warmth drops, the coordination stays. That's not love evolving. That's attachment dissolving. When someone is about to exit, their mind starts separating emotionally to reduce internal conflict. This creates less intimacy, less vulnerability, more independence, more logistical communication, less emotional negotiation. She doesn't need to argue anymore. She just needs to prepare. When the relationship becomes logistical, the emotional exit is already in progress. At this stage, the breakup isn't emotional anymore. It becomes narrative. She starts reframing the story in her own mind, so that leaving feels not like betrayal, but like justification. And that is exactly what we're going to explore next. People don't leave the relationship first. They leave the story of the relationship first. And once the story changes, everything else follows. Leaving isn't just an emotional decision, it's a moral one. Before someone exits, their mind has to create a version of reality where leaving feels justified. Not because she wants to hurt you, but because the mind refuses to see itself as the villain. So, the narrative adjusts. At this stage, your positive moments stop being recorded, and your negative patterns become the thesis. It's called cognitive reframing plus confirmation bias. The brain searches for evidence of incompatibility, proof that the relationship can't be saved. Emotional distance as a form of self-protection. She stops remembering the highlights. She starts collecting the reasons. This is when the relationship feels colder, more distant, more judgmental, less forgiving, less patient. Not because she changed, but because her perception of you changed. You're no longer her partner. You're now the explanation for why she has to leave. That's the psychological flip. You think you're debating facts, but she's already operating inside a new narrative. And once the mind enters that mode, logic can't reverse it. Because You're not fighting a disagreement. You're fighting a story that protects her identity. And identity always wins over reason. When the narrative flips, the exit becomes inevitable. And once the story inside her mind has shifted, the last thing that follows is the body. Her presence is still there, but her emotional and physical intimacy begins to fade. And that's exactly what we're breaking down next. Before someone leaves the relationship, they leave the connection. And the first place that shows up is in the body. This isn't about drama. It's about subtle withdrawal. You may notice less touch, less eye contact, less intimacy, less spontaneous affection, more emotional distance. Nothing explodes. It just fades. That's not conflict. That's separation. When someone emotionally detaches, their brain reduces physical closeness to match that decision. This protects them internally. Distance lowers guilt. Distance lowers emotional tension. Distance makes leaving easier. So the body starts creating space long before the breakup happens. You sense something is off, but you can't explain it. She still talks to you. She still lives with you. But the warmth is gone. That's because she hasn't left physically. She's just no longer attached psychologically. And once the attachment breaks, the physical closeness disappears next. Not every withdrawal is an exit, but there's a pattern you can observe. Stress still looks for closeness. Detachment avoids it. Stress says, "I'm tired." Detachment says nothing and simply disappears emotionally. When the body disconnects, the emotional exit has already begun. At this stage, men panic. They confront, plead, over-explain, and try to win her back. But those reactions often do the opposite. They accelerate the exit. And in the next chapter, we're going to break down the 3 mistakes that make the ending happen faster than it needs to. The exit doesn't become real when she decides to leave. It becomes real when you react in a way that confirms it. The first instinct most men have is to demand answers. Why are you different? Did I do something wrong? Are you talking to someone else? It feels logical, but psychologically, this only does one thing. It tells her you're already insecure about losing her. And insecurity confirms the new narrative she has built. You stop looking like a partner. You start looking like a liability. The second mistake is emotional desperation. Trying harder. Explaining your value. Promising to change. This doesn't feel weak from inside, but it looks weak from the outside. An attraction, especially in long-term dynamics, is built on perceived stability, not effort. The more you chase, the more the relationship feels over. The second mistake is emotional desperation. Trying harder. Explaining your value. Promising to change. This doesn't feel weak from inside, but it looks weak from the outside. An attraction, especially in long-term dynamics, is built on perceived stability, not effort. The more you chase, the more the relationship feels over. When she has emotionally disengaged, your behavior is being interpreted through a filter. That filter is, does this man still feel safe, grounded, and in control of himself? If yes, then she may reconsider. If no implies the exit accelerates. Don't chase clarity, create it. So if panic pushes her further away, what's the correct response? In the final chapter, I'm going to give you the protocol, the calm, strategic way to respond once you notice the first sign. That's how you regain control without losing dignity. You don't stop the exit by holding on tighter. You stop it by becoming someone who doesn't need to hold. The moment you notice the shift, your instinct will be to act, to confront, to fix, to pull her back emotionally. But the first move isn't external, it's internal. Because if you approach from fear, you confirm the very narrative that makes her want to leave. Calm is power, and power restores attraction faster than effort ever will. Instead of, "Why are you acting different?" you say, I've noticed you seem more distant lately. If something has changed for you, I'd rather understand it clearly than pretend it hasn't. No pressure, no interrogation, just clarity. This shifts the dynamic from desperation to awareness, and awareness forces the truth to surface. People in exit mode expect chaos. They expect pleading, fear, and emotional volatility. When you respond with composure and a direct invitation to repair, it destabilizes the exit process. You're not asking for validation. You're asking for reality. And reality exposes what's happening faster than confrontation ever could. If she can't answer or avoids the question entirely, you don't chase further. You simply state, "I respect honesty more than comfort. If you're no longer invested, I can accept that. What I won't do is stay in uncertainty." This is not control. This is self-respect. And self-respect is the only thing that keeps you from becoming replaceable. Clarity without resentment is power. If she re-engages, you rebuild. If she doesn't, you don't collapse. Because the goal was never to stop someone from leaving. The goal was to never lose yourself when they do. And that's what separates a man who is abandoned from a man who remains grounded, even when the relationship ends. If you reach this point, you're not here for entertainment. You're here for understanding. Subscribe and stay aligned with the truth most people avoid.